Hello, everyone. Welcome to the weekly SIG-compute meeting. Nice to see you all. So before I begin, I just want to let you know that according to our schedule that I've posted into the agenda document, which I'm going to link in the chat, the web freeze is exactly 1 week away from now. So that's a great time to ask for reviews or push forward your webs if needed. Also, as written in the agenda, I sent a mail that it's a requirement to set a web reviewer. Please do so. The reviewer does not need to be an approver or anything like that. They just need to be willing to allocate the time to shepherd the web. And please help us to do thorough reviews before we have a look, because we are so few approvers. So thank you very much. And with that, we can move to the next item. So Ale, Srija, how are you doing?
Hi, we're good. I just want to make sure if Larry and Ryan are here. I don't see Larry. Itamar, I think we can switch up the agenda. I can go after the next topic, if that's okay.
Sure, no worries. So Benyat, I see that you're next. How are you doing?
Yeah, well, it's doing fine. Very much really good. Yeah, in the last DEP meeting that we had, there were all the all the alternatives that were proposed to tackle this problem, the memlock hard limits. But well, I couldn't get more info about. I didn't really get the point. If it was one way or the other, that there were two possible ways. I tried to contact and get some more information, but I guess you guys are all busy, so as to put some effort on this, I guess. But the thing is, the exception, like the freeze date is approaching. What should I do? Like, just one of those alternatives is already documented. Should I document the other one as an alternative? Should I try to redesign it in a week? And so if that's the case, should I start requesting an exception for that? That's the main question.
Yeah, Igor, do you want to comment?
Yeah, hi, Minette. Do you have someone that is assigned to review and shepherd your web? Because I don't see any name in the web tracking list.
It's not.
So, yeah, I think that I've looked pretty deeply into it. Lubo as well is involved, and we're kind of waiting for his response. He was extremely overloaded in the last couple of days, and he's now, he said that today he will be back to reviewing in full power. Maybe I can summarize for everyone that the state of this web as it is now. So basically, without talking about the history of it too much, basically now the dilemma is whether we need an API field to lock the memory, or we don't need it at all. Now, one of the main use cases for this, and Benyat afterwards correct me if I'm wrong in anything, but one of the main use cases for this is, for example, for a plugin to add support for a device that we don't support in the core. The way to do that is that the device will be added by the plugin, but the memory has to be locked. Now, the question is, who does the locking? One option is that Virt Handler will do the locking, and we will ask to lock the memory with an API field, which is this one. Expect domain memory reserved overhead, but basically it's an on and off. and the plugin will set it to on in some way, and therefore build handler will do the locking, and that's it. No need to specify any capacities or something like that. The other alternative is that the plugin will do it itself, right? The plugin will actually do what Virt Handler does today, and it will lock the memory itself. That approach was suggested by Lubo. And that's a good question. I have to say that after Lubo mentioned it, I tend to think it kind of makes sense, right, for a plugin to do that. And if we go with the plugin-based approach, we can basically, I think, close the VAP, as there is nothing else we should do. Yeah. Benyat, you can correct me or add anything if you want.
Well,
Okay. Yes.
Sorry, I just have a question. Let me know when I can ask.
Go on.
So how does it look like when we need to lock that memory? I mean, until now, we just did the PR limit. And my understanding now is that we're doing it just unlimited, right? So what's the actual thing that Virt Handler needs to do?
Set that unlimited limit when it needs to do it, because it only does it for really a specific set of cases, for SCP machines, real-time machines, and DFIO machines. And so if there is something out of the qubit core that needs just run some memlock to lock some memory, it cannot do it.
Yes.
It's not. So then it's not taken into account.
Then I think we need to ask ourselves, not even related to a plugin or not. I mean, do we want users to trigger this? Yes or no? I mean, until now we did this for devices. If there was a specific device that was mapping, like wished to map memory, then we did it on its behalf. Now now basically there are other cases for real time where we also need to do this. But the question really is, do we want to allow users to enable that for their VMs, regardless of a plugin? And here I'm not entirely sure what the answer is. I think we need.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think that's a good point, actually, because this could have like effect on the node itself, right? So, for example, if you lock a lot of memory, it cannot be swapped and stuff like that, which have an effect on the node stability and stuff like that.
So does it? I mean, it's not really that you're locking the memory. You're just allowing the application to lock a certain amount of memory. It's not an actual lock.
You're just allowing and just Virt community net and any of its child processes. I mean, that there could be some malicious device emulation implementation or something like that that starts locking memory like crazy, but the build launcher is under our control in the end. Yeah.
But this is not just any arbitrary device, right? I mean, this is we're allowing it to do for libvirt, and consequently for QEMU. So it's not any device. It's
yeah, that's it. It's
you will know
a device that is under QEMU's control.
Right. So then, like if we trust QEMU, then we're okay.
I think so, but.
So I guess the question is, what are the use cases for users to request this? for their device. I mean, they could think that locking. If they would request libvirt to lock the memory, yeah, I mean, there could be some use cases. I'm just not aware of them. And Eddie has his hands up, so I'll be quiet.
No, it should not be quiet. I think it was described well and maybe I'm missing something, but it was described that I'm adding a new device that I didn't plan in the past. That is, let's for example, a host device. And then that device has a specific requirement for a memory lock. It has a requirement because this is what libvirt will use. Otherwise, libvirt will fail when it will try to do a lock on the memory. So I will say that if it's something that we support in the core, then yes, you don't need this reserved overhead. This is what happened until now, but this whole case came to be because we allow today at some level to have a pluggable device. I think it was networking case, and that one requires a specific overhead, right? So if it requires a specific overhead, how will you need to express this? So virt handler will lock for you that memory. I don't even understand who else can lock it. The only who else can lock the memory if not virt handler. So, but I understand that you could give an API. So someone you will ask, what is the memory overhead that I need to get, and it will tell you give it to 1 meg more or something like that. But I think that one of the interesting, I guess that's it, and it cannot go over the maximum allocated memory or something like that if it exists. Yeah. What? By the way, this feature is in alpha now, beta. What is it? This field.
It's in alpha now, but it was requested to graduate it into beta for the last release. It was accepted, then pushed back. So now we are redesigning it so we can start all over again from alpha, but with a different design.
I think one of the problems.
So right now, the summary is we have something, but we don't officially have anything.
Yes, I think this is the problem. If I'm trying to go very high level, is to say someone requested to have to get in a specific device that requires memory lock and that we must accommodate. And if we cannot accommodate to it, we don't have a solution today. This was one solution. If now the solution is to use a plugin like a hook point to get this information, so virt handler can lock the memory for it, then it's another. This is another point, and we are not giving the solution. That's the problem. I mean, we'll delay it for another alpha because that hook point probably doesn't exist yet.
Hi, I was wondering, are you talking only about the PR limit, unlimited setting, or actually locking the memory? Because I think in Lee's PR, we've discussed in this one that the limit, the lower limit that we set is actually not really that useful. And why don't we just always set unlimited? Because the actual guard of that limit is done by Kubernetes, and the limit set by libvirt or by us is basically just from the times when we didn't have C groups around us.
You're right, exactly. So my question was, does this what Lee did? Is this being enabled by default all the time, or is it only when we have a specific device requested, then we do it?
Only for specific devices.
Oh, okay. Then I would actually, suggest to consider doing it always, because I have a use case for the unlimited case in the web for 1.10 that I've posted. I'm not sure if anybody, Jet reviewed it, where through the plugin or some other mechanism, I need to lock the memory regardless of the devices. So, I mean, it would definitely simplify both my use case, but also the current code, that we wouldn't need to count the devices and greatly simplify the code by just doing unlimited always.
So if I understand correctly, the main problem with this approach is that locking the memory could have effect on node stability. So for example, it prevents swapping. So isn't that something that
Correct.
admin or someone else should approve to use?
Well, correct, but the actual locking is a completely separate action.
Right. My question is, like, as an admin, can I say, I don't want you to lock your memory as a VM owner, right? I want to approve who does that and who doesn't.
Well, I mean, again, just about the limit, right? The core idea is that with the C group around you, it doesn't matter that your limit is set to unlimited, because you anyway cannot lock more than the C group allows. So
Right,
is there really such a difference?
I mean, it is different to say you can allocate, I don't know, 10 gigs of memory, and you can allocate 10 gigs of memory and then lock it, right? It's like, it's not
Yes,
the same.
but we allow the locking, like the size of the VM, even without the extra devices and all that, you always allow the size of the VM itself. So it's not really
Right, but the kernel can
significant.
force you to swap away this memory, right?
Right.
It's not your choice to prevent it.
Yes, but again, even without any change today, if you somehow manage to execute the lock, you could lock that memory to that size of that C group itself. So, like, keeping it unlimited wouldn't change it, that fact. But I'm not sure if I'm clear, actually.
Yeah, I actually agree with this approach, because I mean, think about this. I mean, there are so many ways to request your VM to actually trigger this. You could say that your VM is real time, or something like this, or just set a device, or I don't know. I mean, this functionality gets triggered pretty easily. So I'm not entirely sure what does it do if we will just allow that. I mean, the actual locking is being done in somewhere else.
I mean, sure. I think that my thoughts about this is that I think we could. I don't think we need an additional API fee, basically. Either we allow this via plugin, or we just allow it always.
Right.
The API feels off to me.
Right, indeed. I don't think we need an API for that. And again, for simplicity, I think doing it always without the need for a plugin or any other code would be simple.
That's one of the ideas that we already discussed before, like a month and a half, 2 months ago, I believe. Like, just setting unlimited memlock limits to all virtual processes, and just hoping for the best. But yeah, then there is this chat conversation that you guys are currently having, which is that there are some memory like most of the build launchers won't have memory limit set by default. So it's like something that you should be extra careful with when you are setting unlimited memlock limits. Apart from having this not being able to swap memory from one place to another, if there is something misbehaving inside, like under virtual. But again, I believe we trust whatever is under virtual, but I'm not fully sure about that. Yeah, bloody. Drop it soon. And then I have some other concerns about the plugin approach, which is that during migration, we are doing this in a fully pluggable way. I'm afraid that there will be some cases in which memlock limits are updated too late in the migration lifecycle so as to be able to migrate. So that there will be not only like something that plugs in and that detects where the boot launcher is and sets the limited limits with extra permissions in that pod, but just something that needs to get synced into the VM lifecycle, like in which status it is in that moment, and that blocks, for example, migration before it ensures that everything in the target live migration build launcher is ready to accept the migration. But long topic.
So
yeah.
Just as Vladik said in the chat, we do have another topic to get to. So maybe we can take it offline.
Close it. Yeah.
Continue discussing it on the
Yeah.
Lubo, do you have final words on the subject?
I would just ask, like, if you can comment on the web with like example where the handler would not like give you the locking limit, like how the API would look like, what the user would input and such, because this is like something which I'm missing.
Okay, I believe there's one alternative that talks about that, but maybe not in a really detailed way. But yeah, okay.
All right, thank you, and let's continue this on the PR. It's an interesting topic. Circling back to you, Ali, how are you doing?
Hey, thanks. Yeah, I wanted to set some time for CPU DRA web discussion. That design is undergoing some reviews, and it looks like we can all get have a discussion around it. So the first open question, I think it was from Larry, and it's a big one, is do we really need the DRA field in the API itself? So Itamar, if you can go to the files section, there will be VMI example in there to show the API.
Maybe switch to the ridge mode so it's going to be more visible.
Yeah, it's right. Yep. So it is on line 282. So basically, currently the KubeVirt spec has CPU, cores, sockets, and threads, and we are proposing adding this new field called DRA, and then it will have claim name and request name. The question is, should we have an API that just describes core sockets and threads and the CPU resources needed in the domain? Or should we have fields in there that says where these CPUs are coming from? So yeah, I would like to ask others to chime in here and share thoughts. Yes, Lee, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think having a field here as just to get out of jail free card to reference the claim is valid. I think I called out in the VEP above that calling this DRA it's just yet another way of referencing these resource claims in our API at the moment. We've got some inline ways of referencing claim and request names in GPU and host device. And then we've got a separate, I forget what it is off the top of my head now, but it's a separate field
network source.
In network, network source.
Yeah.
I I don't really want to use DRA as the name for this field. So aligning with the network source, and there's a resource claim or something it's under, that feels a bit more agnostic, a bit better. But yeah, I don't really have an objection to having it in the API. I would just really want us to focus on like a default experience without it as well as part of this work, so that users don't always have to actually generate these, manually generate the claims and manually inject them into the VM. Like, we should be able to handle the simple use cases ourselves behind the scenes within the controller to generate the stuff for just a standard dedicated CPU kind of setup. And I think earlier in the VEP as well, I do highlight, like, I think you've proposed treating the existing dedicated CPU placement field as the kind of existing topology manager kind of implementation approach, and then treating this as the new kind of DRA approach, and having them as mutually exclusive fields. I don't really think we should be going that way. Like, the user doesn't care ultimately how we're plumbing this in on the back end, in the simple cases at least. So for the simple case, for the existing case, I'd rather keep it as transparent as possible in the API. I don't know how others feel about that, but yeah, just leaking implementation details isn't great.
So I think even if we do dedicated CPU placement equals to true, we need to have some field in there that suggests whether this is coming from DRA or kubelet, right? One alternative Larry and I discussed on Slack was that we could do some kind of cluster level policy where if the CPU DRA is enabled, then dedicated placement equals to true will automatically use the CPU DRA and not use the kubelet. That's one option, but I am not sure that option is valid for CPUs, because CPU kubelet topology manager and DRA can coexist, unlike GPUs where device plugins and DRA cannot coexist. So one field referencing both of them will be a very leaky implementation of this. So in my mental model, it's not ideal, but I think the dedicated CPU placement needs to refer to kubelet for legacy reasons. And then we'll have to find a new mechanism for DRA. I don't know, Lee, if that answers the question.
Yeah, it does. And I didn't realize that the use case was valid where both could be present in the cluster. Yeah, it would still be nice then for that simple case in the future to have a unified attribute or set of attributes then. So I think I suggested like a new dedicated property, and under that you could express, you could switch to one or the other or something, like having that approach then potentially, and deprecating the older dedicated CPU placement field or something. Yeah, we don't have to agree on it now, but yeah, thank you.
Okay, yeah, Larry, sorry, go ahead.
No problem. I just two thoughts. I mean, the first one is that the regular CPU manager in Kubernetes doesn't solve any of our problem in general. Just none of them as KubeVirt. We cannot request multiple NUMA nodes. We cannot even align the CPUs that we get from the CPU manager. There is no control over it. There's no control over the options of the CPU manager. There's nothing good that we were able to get over the years from the CPU manager in general. So what is the like? Why are we aligning on this? What is the use case of keeping this around? I mean, we wanted DRA or something similar as the array for KubeVirt for so many years, then what is the I don't see the rationale of even considering this as a default case. So that's just my thought. That's number one. The second thing is that what I liked about the Web 300 that is following this one is that it provides us with a provider, with the policy-based provider of how we are allocating these CPUs. So basically, the basic idea is that the user doesn't need to think about in the array terms about what actually the CPUs that he or she wants to allocate for the VM. The only thing that we want to do is to say, okay, I want dedicated CPUs, or I want a mix of dedicated CPUs, or something similar. I don't know how to pronounce this, to spell this out correctly right now, but in general, there's a request from the VM user. I want CPUs, and then there should be some kind of a clear intent that needs to propagate to the policy-based provider that would say, hey, okay, I got this. Now, for this type of VMs, I will allocate CPUs this way. It's on me. I mean, I'm the provider, and there's some kind of a policy for that provider. So the provider should be smart enough to be able to kind of do it on behalf of the user. And then the good thing about this, the provider and the policy base is in the hands of the vendor. So the vendor can provide different policies of how these CPUs are being allocated for specific devices. And then you just switch them and provide them like basically Kubernetes way. And I really like this idea. So, but I see that there is some kind of limitations, which I didn't 100% understood. And I know that we have a limit in time, both in terms of webs and both in terms of discussions. So I don't want to block, but I mean, the general idea, I would delegate this away from the user to the vendor and to the policy provider. Sorry, that's it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just have to drop into another meeting. But let's schedule another meeting to discuss this. So maybe we can do that tomorrow. Yeah. And,
okay.
Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no problem. I think tomorrow sounds good. So I'm going to start a thread on KubeVirt Slack, and whoever is interested, please help coordinate a time to continue this discussion tomorrow.
Awesome. Thank you very much, and see you tomorrow.
Thanks, folks.
Bye, everyone. See ya.
Bye.